for us, Scott. Really appreciate it. The dark side of the Caitlin Clark fan base. Stand up. You know, the side that calls things out. The side that addresses the obvious. The side that says, wait. This doesn't seem right here. The side that says, wait, that doesn't seem right over there. The side that says, wait, you guys just had her day to day for a whole 3 months straight, and here we are again this season, and we're doing the same shady injury.
That right there is what the gatekeepers can't stand. Let me tell you something. The dark side of the Caitlin Clark fan base, that's not some shadowy corner of the internet. That's the people who pay attention. That's the fans who watched the Indiana Fever drag Caitlin Clark through 3 months of day-to-day gaslighting last season and said never again. And now those same fans are watching it happen all over. The key fact here, and write this down, the Indiana Fever did not list Caitlin Clark on the injury report before Wednesday's game. The WNBA league office issued a formal warning to the franchise over it. And a writer at the Ringer responded by calling the fans who noticed conspiracy theorists. Make no mistake, when the league office itself reprimands a team, that's not a conspiracy, that's a confirmed violation.
As the chatter gets loud amongst the dark side, out comes the Indiana Fever puppets, out comes the WNBA shills, out of nowhere. And quickly they start to steer a narrative back in their favor. They're trying to reel it back into their direction. They're losing grasp, and they don't know how to deal with it. So how are they dealing with it? They're lashing out. They're lashing out to the YouTube people.
The Indiana Fever puppets. The WNBA shills. Out of nowhere every single time. You ever notice that? Every time the noise gets loud enough that the suits start to sweat, here comes another article. Here comes another media member to lecture the audience. And here's the thing. They're not aiming at ESPN. They're not aiming at the major papers. They're aiming at YouTube. Why? Because YouTube content creators have built bigger Caitlin Clark audiences than half the legacy outlets covering this league combined. So instead of writing about Tiffany Hayes co-signing the idea of someone injuring Clark, instead of writing about the Fever's home attendance dropping, they aim down, they aim at the fans, they aim at the creators. That tells you everything you need to know about who is panicked right now.
And now we have this most recent scenario. Caitlin Clark being left off the injury report an hour and a half before game time. Oh, you guys are conspiracy theorists. You guys are just making things up. You really think that they're trying to get a sold out crowd? You really think they're trying to hold on as long as they can so they can sell tickets? Yeah. Yeah, I do. They did it all last year.
An hour and a half before game time. An hour and a half. That is how late the Indiana Fever waited to tell their own paying customers that Caitlin Clark was not suiting up Wednesday night. People had already bought tickets. People had already booked flights from Ohio, from Illinois, from Kentucky. People had paid for parking and dinner. And the front office sat on the information until 90 minutes before tip, because every minute they hold out is another ticket sold. They did this all of last year, day to day for 3 months, questionable into out. And here we are in 2026 running the exact same playbook. Mark it down. This is not speculation. This is not conspiracy. This is a documented pattern. And the league office just confirmed the pattern by issuing the warning.
From the moment Caitlin Clark entered the mainstream consciousness, she has been tied to an enemy of some sort, whether Angel Reese, she called Caitlin Clark fans racist. She taunted Caitlin Clark all the way around the court. She made up a fake story where a Caitlin Clark fan stalked her and Kennedy Carter. Okay. Diana Taurasi, reality is coming. It's not that easy. You're in the big leagues now. The refs, the refs that just allow Caitlin Clark to get her ass whooped. The refs that allow Caitlin Clark to get grabbed, scratched, clawed.
From the moment Caitlin Clark entered the mainstream, there has been an enemy. Angel Reese, Diana Taurasi, the referees who let her get clawed, grabbed, scratched, the league office that refused to promote her properly, and every single time the fans pointed it out, the same crowd called them crazy. Then the rules changed. Year 3, the WNBA completely redid its officiating standards to allow more freedom of movement, because they finally figured out what every fan in this country already knew. Caitlin Clark is the draw. So when fans tell you the Indiana Fever is mishandling her injury status, listen to them. They have been right every single time. And the people screaming conspiracy have been wrong every single time. And what comes next is the moment that broke this whole thing wide open.
The league itself, media marketing 101, not understanding that to grow, you got to promote your stars. But we're conspiracy theorists. I just gave you all actual things that happened, but we are all conspiracy theorists. The WNBA isn't Caitlin or nothing anymore. Yeah, it still is. It still is. We saw it last year. We're seeing it again.
Media Marketing 101. Promote your stars. That is the most basic principle in professional sports. The NFL did it with Brady. The NBA did it with Jordan, with LeBron, with Curry. Every major league on this planet understands this. Every major league except the WNBA, which spent 2 full seasons treating its meal ticket like a problem to be managed. And the writers paid to cover this league still, in 2026, write think pieces framing the people who notice as paranoid. Let that sink in. A reporter looks at an organization that hid its franchise player's injury status, got reprimanded by the league office for it, and her response is to write an article calling the fans crazy. That is not journalism, that is water carrying. And here is the second framing of the key fact. When a head coach and a front office hide a player's status from the public and the league office issues a formal warning, the people who called it out are not conspiracy theorists. They are the only ones telling the truth.
Fever beat writer Scott Agnes, in his report on Clark's injury, called it a strategic management plan, which sounds like something between load management and injury management, and which requires a certain operating level of obfuscation and ambiguity. Well, strategic management plan. Strategy, manage, plan. If it was part of the strategy to sit her on that game on Wednesday, then the plan on Tuesday should have been listing her on the injury report that she would be out on Wednesday because it's part of the strategy management plan. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. You're right. Maybe it's me. Maybe I should just put on my rose-colored glasses and just act like a fool and say, oh, yeah, strategic management plan, a last-minute
strategic management plan. Strategic management plan. That is the exact phrase Fever beat writer Scott Agnes used in his report on Clark's injury. Now I am going to ask you a question. Think carefully. If sitting Caitlin Clark on Wednesday night was part of the strategy, then the people running that strategy on Tuesday night should have put her on the injury report on Tuesday night. That is how a strategy works. You plan it in advance. You communicate it. You do not ambush your own ticket holders 90 minutes before tip. That is not strategy. That is deception dressed up in front office vocabulary. And every veteran who has covered professional sports for 30 years knows the difference. The Ringer's writer knows the difference too. She just did not feel like writing about it.
There is conspiratorial thread to weave here. The WNBA let the Fever off with just a warning, even though they never listed Clark as questionably for announcing she was out. Oh, so they did do something bad. Okay. Plus, there are financial ripple effects that will follow if something serious is happening that will make her sit out more.
There it is. From the breakdown itself. The WNBA let the Indiana Fever off with a warning. A warning. From the league office to the team. For not listing Caitlin Clark as questionable when they already knew she would be out. So let us be clear about what just happened. The fans yelled about it. The YouTube creators yelled about it. The dark side of the fan base yelled about it. And the league office agreed with all of them. The Fever did something wrong. The league said so officially. And the article that came out of the Ringer after that warning was issued chose to call the fans the problem. You cannot make this up, because the real story isn't just what happened Wednesday night. It's what this means for everything coming next.
Mind you, we just had a player essentially showing support for the idea of someone purposely injuring Clark, but, quote, now that the discourse is short on external enemies for Clark. This is an example of a classic media critique trap. The Ringer and slimmer outlets have benefited enormously from CC22 coverage, and here the Ringer gladly participates in.
This is what gets buried under the noise. Tiffany Hayes, a player in this league, went on a podcast and nodded along with the idea of someone purposely injuring Caitlin Clark. A player in this league, co-signing the idea of injuring the league's biggest star. And what did the Ringer choose to write about? Not that. not Tiffany Hayes, not the player openly suggesting Clark gets hurt. The Ringer wrote about how the fans are the problem. The fans who notice things, the fans who care, the fans who keep this league afloat with their ticket money and their merch money and their viewership. That is the priority structure of WNBA media coverage in 2026. Threats against Clark get a shrug. Fans noticing a hidden injury get an entire feature article.
So now you have people searching for hate under the couch cushions to suggest that her own team, her own coach, is sabotaging her. Yeah, but you don't really need to search under the couch cushions. You just look at the play on the court and you can see, wait, why are we holding her back? Wait, why are we even talking about off-ball, but we're not even going to set her any off-ball screens? Wait, why are we saying that it's too hard for her to bring the ball up 94 feet? Yeah, we're not going to offer her any help bringing the ball up 94 feet. Interesting.
Look at the actual basketball. You do not need to go searching under couch cushions. Stephanie White publicly talks about Clark playing more away from the ball, but the team does not set her any screens away from the ball. The coaching staff says it is too hard for her to bring the basketball up the floor every single possession, but they do not give her any help bringing it up. They criticize what she does and refuse to design plays that would fix it. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is just watching the games. That is just paying attention. And every old-school basketball guy watching this channel right now is nodding, because you have seen this story before. Back in 1997, Cynthia Cooper had to deal with a version of this. Back in 2008, Candace Parker walked into the same situation her rookie year. When a generational talent threatens the existing power structure, the establishment closes ranks before the public catches up. The WNBA is not reinventing anything here. They are running the oldest playbook in professional basketball. And look at the four-layer damage this is doing right now. The front office layer, they are losing ticket sales. The locker room layer, they are losing player trust. The fan layer, they are walking away from this franchise. The league office layer, they have to step in and issue formal warnings. Same problem. 4 levels of damage. Every single one traces back to one decision the Fever made, to manage their franchise player like a problem, instead of building around her like a star. And here is the one thing nobody is talking about. The biggest consequence of all is still coming.
Ringer, how about you mention the ride the organization took for the fans on last season from day to day to questionable to out for the season, if I remember correctly, so fans are allowed to speculate if they want. Like, this speculation just comes out of nowhere. Like, these conspiracy theories just manifest out of the blue. Do you really not get that fan criticism of the Fever organization was not about resting Clark, but instead was about the organization lying about her status, both to fans and to the league itself? Yeah.
What does this mean going forward? 5 things. Number 1. Every free agent considering signing with the Indiana Fever in 2027 is watching this play out in real time. They are taking notes. Number 2. Every player currently on the Fever roster is watching how Stephanie White and the front office treat the franchise player. Because if they will hide her status, they will hide anyone's. Number 3. The WNBA front office cannot keep issuing warnings without escalating. The next time this happens, it is a fine. The time after that, it is a suspension. Number 4. Caitlin Clark's representatives are watching every single move. Every contract negotiation between now and 2028 is being shaped right now by exactly this kind of behavior. Number 5. And this is the big one. The fans who got told they were conspiracy theorists this week are not going anywhere. They were right. They have been right every time. And many of you in the comments below have been saying exactly this for weeks. You called out the Fever. You called out Stephanie White. You called out the front office. You called it before the Ringer wrote a single word. And every one of you got proven right one more time.
You hate to see it. A long, pointless article. You yourself ended with a Scott Agnes report that contradicts what Stephanie White said, that and the Fever got a warning from the league, so valid criticism isn't conspiracies. Oh, and we still haven't forgotten the endless day-to-day gaslighting from last year. So, yeah.
There it is. That is the only summary anyone needs. The article tried to call the fans conspiracy theorists. The article itself ended by citing a Scott Agnes report that contradicted what Stephanie White said publicly. The article itself acknowledged that the Indiana Fever got a warning from the league office. So the fans who noticed were right. The reporters covering for the team were wrong. And here is the third and final framing of the key fact. When a writer ends her own article with the evidence that the fans were correct, but spends the rest of it insulting them anyway, that is not journalism. That is protection. So I will ask you straight. Was it strategy or was it deception? Type strategy in the comments if you believe the Fever planned this. Type deception if you believe they hid it on purpose. And if you have made it this far, you already know which side you are on. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, drop your take below. And remember, the dark side of the fan base did not lose a single argument this season. We just stopped letting them gaslight us. Take it easy.